morning to everyone, and welcome to our webinar today, where we will be working together with our colleagues from ASQ, Airport Service Quality, from AIC World. Here we want to present the advantages of the methodology and program to support airports to achieve higher objectives with regards to passengers' experience. And before we begin, I'd like to explain the methodology we will have during the webinar. As you all know, we always have interpretation available for our webinars, and in the bottom part you find an icon that is a globe, a world globe, and there you can choose the channel of your preference, either English and Spanish. And we always recommend that you also click the last option, which says mute original audio, so that when you are hearing the interpretation, you will not be also hearing the original audio, which could be somewhat confusing. Also important to comment that this session will have a presentation and a discussion, and we will also have a short period of questions and answers at the end of the presentation. If you have any questions for the speakers, please send your questions to this mail address, info@acilac.aero. And at the end of the presentation, we will share the questions with the panelists. Before we begin, I wanted to invite our General Director, Rafael Echevarne, with opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Francisco. It's always a great pleasure to welcome all of you to another ACI Latin America and the Caribbean's webinar. I can see that we already have over 100 people connected. I mean, this is one of the great success stories as a result of COVID, if anything. The fact that, webinars have become a part of our life, and that in the case of Latin America and the Caribbean, they continue to be very popular. This actually helps us to reach out to all of you in a very effective way. The topic today on ASQ, we are very excited because, it is not just a question of ensuring that your airport provides a pleasurable experience to the passengers. It's just that, I was actually reading an article this morning written by Dimitri and Patrick Lucas of ACI World, and the fact that, ASQ and providing a pleasurable experience translates into more revenue for the airport. This is a fact. This is actually one of the beauties of ASQ. The fact that, we undertake ASQ, and I'm sure that Dimitri and Silvana will explain it to you. ASQ is uses a scientific method. So, by actually having this scientific method, we are able to measure the actual impact of ASQ on the performance of airports. And as I say, providing a pleasurable experience is not just nice, it actually makes sense from a business point of view. So I'll stop here. I just wanted to thank you all for being here with us today. I can see that we already have over 120 people connected. That demonstrates the importance of the topic. And we encourage you to actually join the ASQ program. And, as always, any questions you may have, do not hesitate to contact us at ACI LAC or ACI World. We are always here for you, very much willing to help you with any aspect of the airport business. So thank you very much, and over to you. Dimitri.
Yes, hello. Thank you very much, Rafael, for this great introduction. So thank you for the invite, and good morning to all of you. I've prepared just a short presentation just to set the scene. Next slide, please. So the idea is really to explain, so ACI Customer Experience Suite of Solutions. So our vision or mission at ACI is really to help airports to enhance customer experience and employee experience, because we strongly believe that in order to deliver a good customer experience, it's really important to deliver good employee experience as well. So basically, the way that we do so is through a suite of solutions. So Raphael mentioned the ASQ. So the ASQ is really the voice of customer. We have the voice of employee as well. We have several reports on best practices that we can provide. Of course, there is the accreditation, but like explained by Raphael, the methodology is really important. Unfortunately, not all surveys are equal. So it's really important when you use a tool, surveys on accreditation or journey mapping on passenger personas, it's really important to look further than just the product and to understand the methodology. Especially when you speak about survey, to understand that you need to be a representative of your population, you need to collect all business hours, day of the week, and you need also to randomly select your passenger. So this is the kind of thing that is really important when you speak about tools and survey specifically. Next slide, please. So first question, what is airport customer experience? So airport customer experience is all about emotion. Basically, it's all about customer perceive their interaction on all the interaction with your airport. On interaction, speaking with interactions with customer service, of course, but also with the ambience, infrastructure, your website, the check-in booth. So every interaction contributes to deliver a good experience. Customer experience management is really the practice of managing, designing customer experience and to react to all the interaction that we have as an airport with the customer in order to meet and, of course, try to exceed their expectation. And the positive impact of exceeding expectation is really to increase satisfaction, loyalty, and as explained by Raphael, revenues as well. Next slide, please. So for the customer experience is all about management and execution. So you really need a good balance between managing, planning, having a strategy, and then execute the strategy. And basically, customer experience is the perception that the customer have of their interaction. And as a customer, as a travelers, when they go to an airport, first thing is success. Success to accomplish their goal, because basically they go there because they want to travel, depending this is for business, leisure, but ultimately they want to go somewhere. Emotion, because like I said, customer experience is all about emotions and positive emotions. So basically it's really how they feel during all their interaction. So interaction, like I said, the human contact, but also when they use your website, when they're exploring the airport, when they wait at the waiting gate, and effort to accomplish their goal. So those days we're expecting to have something intuitive, something friendly, something where we don't need to invest too much effort to do something. Next slide, please. So now take a look at from the airport point of view. As an airport, customer experience, the execution is really all about constancy. Constancy in the delivery by your airport. So customer journey constancy, meaning that depending to each touch point or the way that you want to interact with the airport, basically you're going to leave more or less the same positive experience and emotion. Emotion constancy, that if one day you go at the airport, you have a great positive emotion, satisfaction, then the day after, you as a customer, you expect to live the same emotion, the same kind of experience. On this one, communication constancy is really important because quite often we separate marketing and communication activity with experience or operational activities. And this is really important when we made a promise. So promises made is equal as promises kept. So basically what I'm telling to my communication is exactly what they're gonna live as an experience. So I cannot tell, oh, I'm the most fun airport. And then when I go to the airport, there is nothing funny at all. So this is kind of thing really important when we speak about management of the experience and execution of the experience. Next slide, please. This is something that Raphael mentioned in the introduction. So why are we focusing on customer experience? What is the return of investment or the return of experience of the customer experience? So we found through the ASQ surveys that there is a link between customer satisfaction and non-ethical revenues. So basically, drivers of revenues are the traffic. then the size of the retail area, and then customer satisfaction. So in a nutshell, if you increase by 1% the traffic at your airport, which is quite complex, you're going to increase by 0.7 to 1% revenues. Why? It's not all the passengers are expecting to spend money at your airport. So sometimes you have leisure, business traveler, and we know already that some of them are more willing or less willing to spend money. If you increase the size of your commercial area, of course, you need to have something already, but let's say that you have already for several years something with a good diversity or variety of retails. If you increase by 1%, you're going to increase by 0.2% only the revenues. But if you can focus on customer satisfaction by managing the experience, if you can increase by 1%, as assessed by the ASQ, Airport Service Quality Program, you're going to increase by 1.5. So as you can see, it's the best return of investment. So this is why it's really important to manage customer experience, because there is concrete positive impact on airport revenues as well. Next slide, please. So the question is how we should manage the customer experience. So of course, today we're going to speak about the customer experience accreditation, but here is the model that we use for the accreditation. And this is something that you can use. And I'm really encouraging you to use that even though you're not yet in the ASQ or yet in the customer experience accreditation, because that's going to help you really to understand what you need to do in order to better manage and then deliver experience. So the first thing is really customer understanding. This is maybe something really important because you need to understand the need and expectation of your customer in order to develop the strategy, to deliver the experience. You need also to have some tools to measure KPIs and so on. Of course, an airport is all about operational, so you need to have a way of managing operational improvement. You need to have governance because it's really important when you're transforming your organization, because customer experience is all about transformation to be more customer-centric. So basically, you need to have people, committees, managing that, assigning responsibility to the right people or the right committees. Then service design and innovation, because these days when we speak about customer experience, we speak quite often about innovation, but also design of the experience. So it's just to make sure that you're using the right methodology to do so, which is really important. And the two last one, and they are pretty well linked all together. So the first one is airport culture. So it's to make sure that, and this is the one where we're focusing about employee experience. So to make sure that the employees are engaged to deliver a great customer experience. So this is why at the beginning, I was saying there is a strong link between employee and customer experience and airport community collaboration, because an airport is like, it's a community, it's like a big city. And as a customer, I don't know, and I don't care when I'm traveling to an airport, if this touch point is in charge of the airport, the airline, or any other stakeholder. At the end, that has to be seamless, that needs to be a good experience. So this is why we need to build this community and we need to collaborate all together to do so. Next slide. So like I said, the accreditation is really based on this model. So there is 8 domains that we are managing through the accreditation, and there is 54 practices helping the airport joining the accreditation to really focus on the right thing, on the right domains as well. Next slide, please. So the accreditation, it's a multi-level accreditation. So it's a management process. So basically, we help airport to manage. So we are not telling you, you need to do this or that. We are more providing guidance about the way that you need to manage the 8 domains, the domain that I've presented earlier. And as you can see, it's like a maturity or a transformation assessment. So the level 1, it's basically very much about focusing about putting the customer experience as a priority. So on the way to do so, it's really to start with the 3 first domain, and then we grow until the level 5. So each level is focusing on something until the level 5, which is really to have the airport corporate strategy link and all around customer experience. So everything is really focusing customer centric, but focusing on delivering a good customer and employee experience. So the entire airport community is really beyond the airport strategy, and that's really important. All the things that we do it for the customer. So that's something which is really to change the culture. Next slide, please. And of course, an airport is way more than just processes. So this is why built-in, embedded in the accreditation, there is a training. So there is 2 levels. The first one is the customer experience specialist. And then the second one, it's a customer experience professional. So it's part of the accreditation. The idea is really through the training to help you to build a community of knowledge, people speaking the same language, having the same lexic about what they do. And as airport expert in customer experience, you're like a maestro. So even though you are not playing all the instruments, you need to understand that you need all of them. And this is what you're going to learn through these 2 accreditation or training. Next slide, please. Rapidly, I just want to congratulate all the ACI-like airport accredited through the accreditation. So we have 10 airports. Some of them will speak today, but it's a huge achievement. Congratulations to them. Currently, globally, we have more than 60 airports joining the accreditation, no matter the levels. And the accreditation, as you can see, is quite popular in Latin America and Caribbean, and we are so proud of that. So thank you and congratulations to all the airports accredited. Next slide, please. So now, let's start the discussion. I have a lot of questions that I would like to ask to our speakers. So just quick introduction rapidly. We have Alison Laria, Manager of Corporate Affairs and Marketing at Quito International Airport. We have Stefania Montano, Customer Experience and Quality Insurance at Guadalajara Airport from Gap Group. We have Sergio Zavala, Quality Analyst at Iris Costa Rica Airport. So thank you. I'm pretty happy to have them. And first question, my first question is going to be for Alison. I've explained a bit about what is the accreditation, all the steps and so on. And my first question that I would like to ask you, and then we can do roundtable. But Alison, what were your reasons for joining the ACI Customer Experience Accreditation?
Well, thank you, Dimitri, Rafael, Francisco, and everybody has joined this webinar. I'm thrilled and honored to be part of the of this webinar and happy to share our experience. In regards to your question, when we were first approached about the program back in 2018, at the end of the day, I saw it as a roadmap that we were missing. You know, like Rafael said, it provides you the methodology of how to manage your customer experience, because all of us, and I'm sure all of the airports have many initiatives in regards to customer experience, but maybe what the program does, put them all together in an integrated way that actually makes sense. It allows you to understand who needs to get involved, how to test new ideas, how deep to understand your customers, how to do those buyer personas. And I'm sure all of the airports must have something in place, but this program, it gives you that methodology that is much required, and it's in sync not only with a customer experience per se in any industry, but obviously it understands the ins and outs of our own industry, which provides you something that it's feasible. At the beginning, you know, the 8 domains, they do look a little bit intimidating, and you know, and you wonder, my God, are we going to be able to actually achieve all of them? But I tell you, even if you reach level 3 or level 4, you've done so much, and in a way that is organized, and because it provides you a step-by-step guide, and the ACI team is always behind you, it makes it easier. And the best part, Dimitri, I would say, is that at the end of the day, you'll realize that your airport had already implemented a lot of the initiatives, and it was just a matter of fine-tuning and maybe practicing a few ones more. So at the end of the day, it's not that difficult, and the rewards are quite big, as it provides you with a way of making sure that you take care of your customers, your employees, and of course, the airport community.
Thank you, Alison. That's great what you were just saying, that basically, I'm pretty sure that you're already doing a lot of things. And the idea is really to help you to gather all the good things that you do and to give you some guidance about which direction you should go in order to go further and to be better. That's great. On the accreditation, this isn't something that I mentioned, but the accreditation, it's not a destination. So it's really journey. Even though you reach the level 4 or 5, there is something that you're gonna learn. And even though you have the top at level 5, the idea is you still continue to learn, to grow, to transform the organization. So there is no no objectives such as being the level 5. It's depending to you, your business strategy. Sergio, I would like to learn from you about the reason of joining the accreditation, please.
Thank you so much. And as mentioned, the accreditation and level 5 in itself is not the goal. That's not the final objective. That's a road or a journey we have to take. And precisely that's part of the reason why we wanted to enter this program. We needed to have a clear roadmap to follow that would guide us and allow us to improve the experience of our clients and passengers. The airport has always been focused on improvement, ongoing improvement, by implementing projects and different activities, seeking not only satisfaction, but improving the general experience of our passengers. And being part of this program has given us enough guidance to know where to focus our efforts on. And it's really been something very important and valuable for us, because it has also allowed us to show what we already did. And yes, we do many things, and I'm sure that my colleagues from other airports do many, many things in their day-to-day in order to provide a good experience to their passengers. But sometimes we don't have the tools that allow us to show everything that is being done. And the accreditation, the program for customer experience of ACI has allowed us to do this. It has given us much, guided us, but it has also allowed us to show.
Really interesting. I like when you were speaking about a roadmap. This is basically the idea. It's also to help you to select the right tools, such as the journey mapping, the passenger personas, and so on. So thank you very much. Estefania, why you decided to join the accreditation?
As I was saying, for us, it was very important to be credited in this program, because generally we heard that there were accreditation for other areas such as security and operation. But this is also a way of giving value to all the activities and functions passenger experience area has. And it's also an opportunity to integrate the rest of the areas, so the rest can know that each one of their activities are as important and will lead to an end result that will be reflected in the experience of each one of our clients. This has always allowed us to achieve a greater synergy with all these areas. So basically, that's one of the main reasons. And I fully agree with Sergio when he mentions that we were always also surprised to see that many of the requirements were things that we had been doing for many times, but this was an opportunity to have a better structure based on the guide that you have provided.
Really interesting. What I would like to ask you also, it's of course customer experience accreditation. It's a recognition. This is something that you can use to communicate to your passenger, your stakeholder, the airline, the regulators, but also it's something to enhance. And I'm really curious to understand what you learned through the journey, what practices you have implemented. What are the biggest takeaways to this journey of being accredited? Maybe Sergio, if you can start, please.
As an airport community, a large number of industries and businesses that work in an airport, maybe the first thing we needed to learn was how to integrate and how to work as a team. So that was we all have an objective in the airport, but how to integrate and to work together was a huge challenge. And this is something that we learned to do. We have learned to work jointly. And if I had to point out something personally that I have learned and that has enriched me by being part of this program, is precisely the value of knowing our clients, knowing our passengers, because we have a huge variety and all type of people that transit through our airports, but to get to know them, to know what their needs and expectations are, what they want, what they need, that is extremely valuable. And that has enriched us greatly and helped us in general as an airport. And something that is also very valuable, and that the program and that the credit program allows us, is to join efforts. Each business, each government institution that are inside the airport, to focus on the end objective, which is to provide a good customer experience. We all benefit from this, and this is something that we have learned to work on, and it's been very beneficial.
Really interesting, because as you said, understanding the customer, it's way more than just knowing, okay, I have business and travelers, knowing their needs, their expectation, and knowing what their new customer behavior is something really important. This is something that you can learn through the ASQ program. Also collaboration, because quite often we believe that customer experience, it's a business, the matter of one group only. As you said, it's more than that. Everybody should be accountable. Everybody, it's the business of all the stakeholders, all the people within the airport. So I like when you mentioned that we should join our effort in order to deliver a better customer experience. Alison,
Dimitri, if you allow me just to add something. What you mentioned is really very, very valuable. I think that our customers change constantly. They're different. The passengers we had before the pandemic is totally different from what we have now. And the program allows us to know how things have changed, where we need to focus now, because if in the past we saw it one way, well, we have to change our way of considering it because it's different. Clients are seeking for new things and need new things. And as an airport, our responsibility is to provide them what they need. And at the end, it's beneficial for all.
You're right. Thank you very much. Alison, your point of view on this question?
Well, I couldn't agree more with Sergio on what he just spoke, and adding to what he said about the integration and the collaboration. One of the best takeaways for us was creating this cross-functional committee that meets on a regular basis, where it allows us to share the information about whatever customer experience we've had in the past months, but also to talk about the programs that are coming up from the different areas and see how they would actually impact our customers. One of the key points, which is mentioned in the guide, is to ensure that you have a representative of the customers in your team, the voice of the passenger, because we may all think that it's such a great idea, something that we're developing, and with the best intentions, but sometimes we may forget to put on the shoes of our passengers. So you always need that one person that puts on that hat and gives you that perspective, which is very, very valuable. And at the same time, ensuring that you communicate the strategy to all your employees at your level, not only those that are frontline employees that are dealing with passengers on a day-to-day basis, but also those on the back end, on the offices, on the admin side. As Estefania mentioned, that we all need to understand that whatever we do, it has a big impact. Once your company has that accomplished, it's a lot easier to take it on to the airport community, where everybody also has some sort of program. And then again, just like we saw how we already had a lot of strategies that were implemented and we just needed a roadmap, when you start talking to the other stakeholders at the airport community, you find the same thing. Airlines have great customer programs, private companies, they do it as well. The governmental entities, they do their best as well. So it's just a matter of joining them together. For us, that was the biggest takeaway, creating that multi-functional team that collaborates and share experiences.
Oh, thank you. On a good point, customer experience is really to put yourself in the customer's shoes. And that seems obvious, but it's not that easy, because all of you and all of us were experts in airports. So we know all on every details of an airport. But the customer the customer doesn't know that. The customer is an expert of being a customer. So if he believes that something is not working, it's because for him it's not working. So we should stop to think that as an expert in airport, but put yourself in the customer shoe and say, okay, why is this not intuitive for him? It's not friendly. It's not. He has to put too much effort on that. So you're totally right. We should always have someone focusing on playing the role of the customer. I would like just to change a bit my question for Estefania on what, according to your experience, what was the most relevant and most impactful initiative that you have implemented to your passenger experience program following, of course, the accreditation?
Here, one of our most recent initiatives was based on what we have learned since we are part of the ASQ program, since we have opened so many communication programs. We implemented a program called ASQ that is focused on clients that have any handicap, whether temporary, permanent, visible or invisible, because finally they are part of the users or clients of an airport, and they all deserve having a very an experience just as the others. So that's one of the largest initiatives that we've had, and that has been very successful. This is a segment of our clients that felt biased or rejected, not just at the airport level, but in any business, and it has been greatly valued by them.
Very interesting. Thank you. Thank you very much. Alison, question for you about the biggest challenge to achieve your current level in the accreditation. As you know, there is several levels. Now you are through the process of being accredited at the next level. You're growing in the program. So I'm really curious, since you have several years of experience with the program, what was or what is your biggest challenge in your current level?
Well, as you mentioned, we were thrilled to actually achieve level 4 last year, and we're applying for level 5 this year. So there were many challenges. Yes, we did have a lot of things in place, but it's been a process. We started in 2018 with the level 1 and 2, and then we moved on to level 3. I remember getting the level 3 accreditation with some conditional approvals, meaning that we hadn't actually done the implementation 100% correct. But then again, we got the feedback from ACI, gave us the tools, allow us to implement furthermore, and that's what we did. And then we moved on to level 4. To us, up to this point, the biggest challenge has been the service design thinking. It was a mind blower. It was just changing your chip on how you actually test your ideas, because it's great to have the cross-functional team, but it's a step beyond, right? It's actually testing with your customers. So that was a bit of a, should we do that? And which idea should we actually test it? What if they don't like it? And how do we change it? But we need to implement it. There were many questions. And to be honest, we were a little bit afraid of it. And plus, obviously, none of us are experts on service design thinking. So we got someone to come in to explain what it's all about beyond what explanation that you guys had provided. And that helped us, because many of us took the course. It was a one-day seminar, and it allows you to say the benefits of it. And then we decided which initiative to actually go ahead with it. And now it's becoming a practice, not for everything we do, gotta be honest, not with everything, but with a lot of things we're trying to do this testing. Sometimes it just feels bigger than what it is. And once you start implementing, you realize that the benefits outweighs any challenge that you may find. So we're looking forward to level 5 as we speak.
Thank you. No, service design is something fairly new in our industry. And this is really something interesting, because that change a bit the current mindset that we have, especially in an airport, highly regulated environment. In service design, you have to test everything, test and fail fast, and to retest and keep that easy, simple, because the idea is really to test, fail rapidly, and to adapt and to enhance and to test again. So that's not something that we used to do so in our industry. So that's really interesting, because that changed totally the mindset. And that's part of the transformation, because customer experience is all about transformation. So thank you. Sergio, do you want to speak about your challenges to achieve your current level?
Allison mentioned something, and I totally agree with her. Sometimes as she said, sometimes we're not experts on everything that has to do with how to manage our customers' experience. And that learning phase of learning how to do it, where to focus, this step-by-step was a huge challenge for all of us in the airport. We thank greatly the company support you have given us since the beginning. Our emails at the beginning were constant. Every day you would find mails from us where we were asking something, and this really helped us. But yes, learning how to do it and how to grow in each one of the program phases was a challenge, but it's had excellent results, definitely. And something else that has been a challenge for us is precisely what was mentioned with integration. We have different businesses, government institutions, and other groups that work inside the airport, and to bring them all in the same line and integrating them to the program so they can see the positive side of being in the program, and that we can all work in the same line was definitely a huge challenge. I cannot say that we have achieved this 100%. It's something that on which we will continuously keep on working, but definitely we've made great advances, and to date, and this has led us to the level we are, and to continue growing, which is our objective, is precisely making it possible that the other airport community members commit with the program. Maybe that's been two of our big challenges.
Thank you. And this is something that I've been hearing quite often about the kind of collaboration. As I said, an airport is like a city. There is so many stakeholders. Sometimes they have the same objective, sometimes not. What I learned from other airports is really the importance of communication, to have a frank and transparent discussion. Also, sometimes to have facts. So, because quite often when we speak with stakeholders, it's like, oh, my perception about something. I think using product or service such as the ASQ, a neutral source of information, you can bring on the table, hey, here is the feedback that we have from the customer, and we all have the same customer. Let's work together in order to enhance this situation. But yes, collaboration, it's something important. It's not something easy to do, but it's an ongoing process. So thank you very much for that. And Estefania, for you, what was your challenges, especially since you're running a group of airports? So I'm really curious to understand, you can tell us more about your experience, your challenges, and especially with a group of airports.
By being an airport group, that in itself is a challenge for us to have the 14 airports that manages are aligned, no matter their size or the passenger traffic we might have, because if not, we could be mistaken in just focusing on the large airports that have more demand, but they're all equally important. One challenge specifically was the service culture. This is something that we do not only have to permeate and transmit to the people in each one of our airports, but also in those that are part of the airport community. Cultural aspects are always the most complicated, because how can we change the people's ideas? How can we make them understand that we are here thanks to our clients and that everything we do is for them?
Thank you, really interesting. We were speaking about the content of the accreditation, but now, and this is me personally receiving this question and asking to you, my question is, how long did it take to prepare and respond to all the requirements in order to complete the assessment? So because the perception sometimes is, oh, it's a lot of work, it's complex, it's long. So could you tell me more about that? And also, if you don't mind, as ACI, like on WAR, we always want to provide support and added value to you. So also, if you could tell me more about the support that you receive through the process. So maybe, Alison, we can start with you about the duration and all the steps.
Well, thank you, Dimitri. Sergio said that one of the main things was the support that we get from you guys, and that you were probably getting an email from him on a daily basis. Well, you were probably getting an email from us as well, just asking questions. And the great thing is that your team, what they said is, hey, we just put this together, right? But this is something that is dynamic and that we can talk about it, which made sense to all of us, because even though we're all airports, like Estefania said, there's different sizes or different realities. And the great thing is that it could adapt. So what it's written on the paper, yes, it gives you a guidance of what is expected, but you can always talk to the ACI team, communicate to them and tell them, this is our idea, this is how we plan to do it, what do you think? And everyone in the team is always willing to take our call, make a conference call and give us their feedback. So that's the number one thing that I want to highlight, because you're not alone on this. It's not a matter of here's the application, fill it in, and we'll see you in the audit. It doesn't work like that. It's a process. So answering your question, how long does it take? I was kind of reflecting back on this, and I would say that because we already had a lot of strategies in place, it took us about 3 to 4 months working on it as a team on getting some of the initiatives that we didn't have in place being implemented and analyzing and communicating and sharing with everyone. On top of doing what we had already been doing, such as the participating in the ASQ departure surveys, doing our own surveys, doing the customer journeys, the buyer personas. So I would say that on an average, it doesn't take you more than 3 months within filling out, getting the information. What I would suggest is being very organized on how you keep all the evidence. And then when you're being audited as in level 4, make sure that you have a really slick presentation showing everything that you've done. And I'm sure all the auditors will be more than impressed with the work that it's being done at the different airports.
Thank you. Thank you. And Estefania, the duration, especially for a group of airports, on the support also, if you can comment on that as well, please.
For us, currently, we are credited in level 1. So since we had already been doing some of the activities in the previous years, this allowed us the 4 airports that are currently credited took about 3 weeks to have the necessary structure according to the requirements you requested. And this also brings a learning, because that guide and the support that you have provided now helps us so that for the next level, which we're already working on, we can have everything well prepared and so on to continue to the next level.
Thank you. Sergio, your point of view on the process, the duration, the steps, please.
Thank you. I can only continue with what Stephanie and Allison have said. It's really very interesting that at the beginning, when we went into the program, we thought it would be very complex and would take a long time, as Dimitri said at the beginning, but that was not the case. And in fact, in our case, we already did many things focused on improving customer experience or passenger experience. And I'm sure that all airports do it as well. So at the beginning, it's more a matter of identifying those things that we already do and organize them in such a manner. And so it took us about 2, 3 to 4 months to organize everything and to have it according to the requirements. And we were ready. We began at the end of 2019 in the program, and at the beginning of 2020, we were already at level 1. So this is something that I believe should motivate those who are not yet in the program to get encouraged, because it's very simple. It's easy. And I'm sure that you already do many of the things that will bring you to level 1 very soon.
Thank you. A question that you would like to ask also, it's because we all know that customer experience is complex. It's a matter of all the people, all the stakeholders. On customer experience, you need the vision from the top, from the executive, on the good execution from the operation. And that's where it's complex, because you have to make sure that everybody's involved, engaged, committed, having the same vision. And my question for you is really, how do you involve your executive in the process, or did you get the commitment? And also the business case of customer experience. Is this something that you needed to explain? I've explained at the beginning that the return of experience, but is this something that when you started the process of being accredited on even speaking about customer experience, that was an issue for you to have them committed on at the C-suite level? So Alison, maybe?
Actually, getting the commitment from our executives for us, it wasn't an issue, because we had already included a strategic pillar of our company, and it was also included in the mission and vision, the importance of customer experience. Like I mentioned at the beginning, what we needed to do is, get our act together, put things in order, and follow this roadmap. So it wasn't really an issue. But however, what we did learn is that it's not just a matter of getting the top level, on board with it, but like you said, ensuring that all the teams are on board, and that included our back office employees as well. So now, as part of another great takeaway that we have from this program is that our HR training to new employees includes a session about customer service and the importance about it, the program that we are in, and most of all, how each employee can contribute, especially if it's not a frontline employee where things may not be as clear. We make sure that we tell them how anyone can share, and we actually provide examples of how some accounting people, finance people that are not on the day-to-day with the passengers are able to provide their feedback or even help our customers. So for us, it was a win-win. We had our director of operations on board since day one, and he's actually the one pushing us for the next level. And it's a great example of the collaboration among the different areas. We had our department, we had operations, like you said, they're the ones that are actually implementing a lot of the things on the day-to-day basis with their teams. And it's key to make sure that we have that integration at the execution level, but also at our executives level, where they actually, part of their agenda meetings is share the results of our ASQ or the results of the different committee meetings, so that it's not a matter of just get someone executed. It's actually a discussion that happens at the executive level.
Very interesting. And do you believe, Alison, that having a common objective, which is the customer satisfaction and customer experience, helps together all the people, not only because it's quite, like you said, when we speak about customer experience or satisfaction, we think about the frontline people, but to now speak about customer experience, using that to leveraging on having everybody gathering together, focusing on the same objective. Do you believe having such approach, accreditation order, was helping you to put everybody working in the same direction?
Absolutely, absolutely. It made us realize that we needed to share this information furthermore with all the employees and how to do it. And yes, once you start in level 4, where you need to ensure that as part of your evaluation and the profiling of your employees, regardless of their position, it includes an aspect of customer service. Again, we realized that we were already doing that. We spoke with our HR manager and we realized that we were doing that. So now all of us have an objective in our employee evaluation that talks about customer service in whatever aspect it is that you're involved, and that you have some sort of way of ensuring that you provide that positive customer experience. So one of the biggest takeaways, without any doubt.
Thank you. And Sergio, how do you involve your executive?
As Alison mentioned, the executive team of the airport has always been very involved in everything that has to do with experience. And passenger and customer service. So that was really not difficult. It was a matter of presenting the program to talk to them about the journey, and they were all immediately on board. It was quite simple. The focus has been in our mission and vision of our airport. And as already mentioned, we've had from the company's CEO very interested, and he's constantly asking us and attentive and driving the process. And likewise, the executive team has made it there. So this has made things easier to implement the practices and to be able to bring this methodology and way of thinking that is focused on the client at the core of the operation in general has been very simple because it comes from the highest level. So I would say that for us, it was really not a big challenge.
Thank you. Estefania, I'm curious to see for a group such as GAP, how do you keep all the executive involved and engaged through a journey such as the accreditation?
As my colleagues mentioned, in fact, this has really not been a problem for us because from the head, from our CEO, the idea is very firm that everything goes around the client, and all the actions that we take will be focused on them. And we are congruent with a mission, vision, and even our quality policy. The fact of having this common objective where we want to provide a unique and differentiated experience for each one of our clients. If it's clear from the top level, it will permeate to the other directors. Nobody will go against this. So it's very simple when we have proposals because they are very well based with all the information we've collected through the ASQ services and others. We have data to say, look, we need to get the accreditation. We need to continue going to the next level. We need to have the support of an institution or like ACI.
Thank you. Really, really interesting. We're running a bit of time, so we could speak for hours and hours. Before continuing our discussion, I would like just to open the floor for questions. So feel free to ask any question. We have a great panel today. I can see that they do have a lot of experience. So we still have several minutes for question. Feel free to ask. Maybe my last question, since we are waiting for question. What would be your advice to airports that are planning to join the accreditation and considering to join the accreditation? So any advice, Sergio? What may be your recommendation?
The best recommendation is not to think it more, just go ahead, because you will soon see the benefits. It will help you greatly, and that guide, I think, is very practical and necessary to manage correctly, to direct resources where they are needed so the customer experience can really improve and can be managed in the best way. And from there on, you will see the benefits. And we're not talking about just benefits in terms of non-aeronautical revenue, but we're talking about image, motivation of the collaboration. That's all very important. So go ahead. And something that Allison said is definitely, it's very variable, is to start doing it in the correct way, caring for each detail. And at the end, that will give the success we wish to have.
I like that. Go ahead. Estefania, any recommendation or advice?
It would be to take the opportunity to get to know your clients well, to see what they want, open communication channel, and take into account what they are telling us. Sometimes it's one person that takes time to say they had a great or a bad experience, but it's that person who is probably talking on behalf of hundreds or thousands of clients. So the key is to listen to them.
Thank you, Alison.
Well, further to what my colleagues have said, if I could just give a piece of advice would be to make sure that you have someone that is in charge of the program, like that voice of the passenger, and to make sure that everyone who's involved takes the course. The course that is provided and included within the accreditation, it's very important. It gives you the theory behind it on an overall perspective, but also in regards to airports. So it makes it easier to understand what the actual guidelines talk about. So it makes sense. At the end of the day, it makes sense. And just further to what Estefania said, yes, listen to the customers. It is overwhelming what you can actually learn from them and from your colleagues. When you get together with the airport community and you start talking about things, you realize how much more you could do and how many things you were missing that are not impossible to implement because of time or resources, that are actually small details that would make a big difference.
Oh, really interesting. Thank you. And Alison, since you were explaining that you're being accredited level 4, you're planning to be level 5 soon. On the question that I've been receiving quite often, do we have to start from the first level? So do you, for your point of view, I know the answer, of course, but also not only the answer, but why it's really important for you to start this way?
Well, it is important to go in order, right? Because as the program evolves, like you showed in your slide, there's 8 domains, and there's a reason why you keep increasing on the different strategies. It makes it easier. It allows you time to understand the theory and how you implement it. It gives you the opportunity to understand what is it that you're already doing, what you need to fine tune, and what you need to further implement. So it provides you that timeline, that roadmap, to make sure that you're able to get to where you need to be at the right moment with a very solid foundation and not, running around crazy, but it actually provides you that order that allows you at the end of the day, not to only get the accreditation, like you said, it's not the end. It's to actually learn about your customers, share the information, apply best practices, and most of all, just provide that experience that our passengers demand and that we as airport operators are more than happy to provide.
Thank you, really interesting. Any other question? I see that there is a question about methodology. At the beginning, we were speaking, explaining that not surveys are equal and methodology is really important. It's really important to use a survey for the voice of customer based on a robust methodology, meaning a survey where the respondent is randomly selected, not self-selected. This is what we do in the ASQ. And there is other surveys when this is the passenger asking to answer the survey. In this case, there is a bias. Also really important, since you want to cover all the business hours because you really want to assess the quality of the experience. So to have a survey collecting every business hours, every day of the week, every airline, every international, domestic, of course, because the idea is really to cover all the angle and to make sure that at the end, what you're having as a satisfaction level is really an assessment of the full situation. Collecting also across the year because there is seasonality. And something really important to me, and that makes sense, I guess, is to ask the passenger why he's traveling, why he's living the experience, not even a week, even an hour after. Because you saw at the beginning, and I told you that customer experience is all about emotion. And basically emotion is something that you're feeling right now, right on the spot when you're traveling the airport. Whereas as an airport operator, you're putting some nice people, nice stuff everywhere. It's because you know that that's going to help to generate a positive emotion. So you don't want to wait to ask the customer. And this is to me something really important about the methodology. And there is tools such as Skytrax. On Skytrax, it's a really good marketing tool because it's a recognition that you can use, but their methodology, it's not that strong because it's not randomly selected. You need to go on the website so everybody can answer the survey. There is no sample plan, so basically you don't know who is answer. We don't know even if this person went to the airport. So this is why it's really important to understand that. I'm not telling you don't use Skytrax as a tool, but it's not a tool to assess satisfaction. It's not a tool to monitor customer experience. It's a marketing and PR tool. This is the main difference between the ASQ award and the Skytrax award that you can see. It's really the way that they gather the information. So this is, I wanted to answer that because I saw that we were having a question about that. Any other question before I come finishing on my remark about the customer experience?
Thank you, Dimitri. There was a question regarding the main challenges during the implementation and accreditation, which have already been answered during the conversation. And the other question was the difference between ASQ and the Skytrax that you just clarified. We don't have any more questions. In any case, you can contact us to the address on the screen. If there are additional questions, you can send them there and we will share them with the panelists so they can solve this. And without any further, we'd like to thank Dimitri, Alison, Stefania, and Sergio for their participation. This webinar will be shared with the participants, both the slides and the recording. And as I said, any questions you might have, you have our address and we can share it with the panelists. Without any further, thank you very much for your time and have an excellent day.
Thank you.